You can support In the Past Lane with as little as $1 a month. Just go to the support page at our website, inthepastlane.com. Thanks.
Whoa, hit the brakes. You've arrived at the #1 drive-by for American history. Welcome to The Pit Stop. Brought to you by In the Past Lane, the podcast about history and why it matters. Here's Edward T. O'Donnell, your host and historian at large.
Hi everyone, welcome to The Pit Stop, your Monday source for history on the go in just about 5 minutes. We offer this feature every Monday, in addition to our full feature episodes, like my upcoming interview with historian Martha Jones about the history behind birthright citizenship. Here's what happened in American history the week of May 13th, 2019. Let's start with birthdays. May 16th, 1801, that's the birthday of William Seward, who was born in Florida, New York. William Seward served as governor of New York and as a United States senator, but he's best known for his tenure as Secretary of State in the Lincoln and Johnson administrations from 1861 to 1869. And it was during the latter that he arranged the purchase of Alaska from Russia. May 16, 1912, writer and oral historian Studs Terkel was born in New York City. Terkel's best-known books were Hard Times, an oral history of the Great Depression, published in 1970, and Working, People Talk About What They Do All Day and How They Feel About What They Do, published in 1974. His third book, The Good War, earned him the Pulitzer Prize for General Nonfiction in 1985. And if you want to hear some of his amazing interviews, check out the Radio Diaries podcast. May 17, 1903, James Thomas Cool Papa Bell was born in Starkville, Mississippi. Bell was a center fielder who, because of segregation, played his professional baseball career in the Negro League from 1922 to 1946, primarily with the St. Louis Stars. He's widely considered to be one of the fastest men to have ever played pro baseball. Cool Papa Bell retired in 1946, the year before Jackie Robinson broke the so-called color line. Nonetheless, Cool Papa Bell was inducted into Major League Baseball's Hall of Fame in 1974. He once said, "They used to say, if we find a good black player, we'll sign him. They was lying." May 17, 1912, Archibald Cox was born in Plainfield, New Jersey. Cox was a lawyer and law professor who served as U.S. Solicitor General under President John F. Kennedy. But he's best known, of course, for serving as special prosecutor during the Watergate scandal. His firing by President Richard Nixon in October 1973 marked a major turning point in the Watergate scandal and hastened Nixon's downfall. Cox once said, "Watergate showed more strengths in our system than weaknesses. The whole country did take part in quite a genuine sense of passing judgment on Richard Nixon." May 19, 1925, Malcolm Little, better known as Malcolm X, was born in Omaha, Nebraska. Malcolm X had a difficult childhood, and as a young man he was arrested for robbery in Massachusetts and sent to prison. During his incarceration, Malcolm Little discovered books and became an insatiable reader and learner. He also converted to the Nation of Islam. Upon his release, Malcolm X became a major figure in the Nation of Islam, and by the early 1960s, the Civil Rights Movement. He's often mischaracterized as an advocate of violence. What he did advocate was the right of African Americans to defend themselves when attacked, a position that put him at odds with the nonviolent approach of Martin Luther King Jr. Malcolm X once said, "I believe in the brotherhood of all men, but I don't believe in wasting brotherhood on anyone who doesn't want to practice it with me. Brotherhood is a two-way street." Okay, what about events? On May 17, 1973, the first of several Battle of the Sexes tennis matches, featuring former tennis star and all-around self-promoting showboat Bobby Riggs, versus the current top player in women's tennis, Margaret Court. Riggs won this match 6-2, 6-1 by throwing Court off her game with lobs and drop shots. His victory landed Riggs on the cover of both Sports Illustrated and Time magazine. It also prompted another tennis star, Billie Jean King, to accept a challenge from Riggs. This event, held in the Houston Astrodome and broadcast on national TV in prime time, saw Riggs lose in straight sets. He did not go quietly. May 17, 1787, delegates convened in Philadelphia for a convention to write a constitution for the United States. May 14, 1844, Samuel F.B. Morse sent a telegraph message, "What hath God wrought?" from the Supreme Court chamber in the Capitol in Washington, D.C., to the B&O Railroad Depot in Baltimore, Maryland. Morse didn't invent the telegraph, but he did invent the model that took off. These days, we think of the telegraph as a quaint, old-fashioned form of primitive technology, maybe a notch or two above tin cans and a string. But the telegraph was one of the great revolutionary technological breakthroughs in modern history. As I say to my students, The telegraph was the internet times a million. May 15, 1911, the Supreme Court of the United States declared that Standard Oil, the giant corporation built by John D. Rockefeller, violated antitrust laws and had to be broken up into smaller companies. In recent times, many people point to this decision when calling for antitrust action against today's megacorporations like Google, Apple, and Facebook. May 17, 1954, 65 years ago this week, the Supreme Court of the United States issued its Brown v. Board of Education decision that declared segregation in public schools to be unconstitutional. And if you want to learn more about school desegregation, check out In the Past Lane episode number 40. May 19, 1962, Marilyn Monroe sang a breathless and suggestive version of Happy Birthday to President John F. Kennedy at Madison Square Garden. The crowd, and presumably JFK, loved it. The same cannot be said for Mrs. Kennedy. Okay, time for the last word. Let's give it to the Supreme Court, which, 65 years ago this week, issued its Brown v. Board of Education decision. Here's the key passage. Segregation of white and colored children in public schools has a detrimental effect upon the colored children. The impact is greater when it has the sanction of law, for the policy of separating the races is usually interpreted as denoting the inferiority of the Negro group. We conclude that in the field of public education, the doctrine of separate but equal has no place. Separate educational facilities are inherently unequal. Okay, people, that's your history fix for the week. Now put it in drive and go make your own history.